Anywhere you turn in the spirituality and personal development circles, you hear about affirmations and how powerful they are to change your life for the better. But what exactly are affirmations and how can we use them effectively? In this video, you're going to learn what affirmations actually are, how they work, and the one key aspect that makes them so powerful. And then I'm going to share my proven 4-step technique to help you use affirmations effectively in your life. Coming up. Hello, beautiful soul. This is Christina Lopes, the Heart Alchemist, here to help you open your heart, heal your past, and live with purpose. If you're new to my videos, click on that subscribe button and also on the bell so you get notified as soon as I publish new content. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, where I share weekly tips and advice that you won't find here on YouTube. Also, a quick reminder that we have free supplemental workbooks with all of our videos where you're going to have homework questions and prompts that are going to help you go deeper on the content that we discuss in this video. There's a link to that free workbook in the description box below. On to part 1 of the video. What are affirmations? Okay, so you hear a lot about affirmations in spirituality, personal development circles. There's a lot of focus on affirmations, but what exactly are they? So here's a definition that's going to help us go into exactly what affirmations are and how they work. All right, so affirmations are powerful statements that redirect and focus your mind and energy system in an expansive way. All right, so let's go into this definition. Okay, so what affirmations do is essentially they're working on the mind and on your energy system. On the mind level, on the brain level, affirmations, when you repeat affirmations, literally what's happening is when you repeat these powerful statements, the affirmations are refocusing your brain. They're redirecting your brain from what's known as the negative bias. Okay, so our brains have a natural phenomenon called the negative bias, and that comes from evolution. So when we were evolving, when we were out in the wilderness, the brain developed this capacity to dominate, to look at possible negative outcomes over positive ones for survival reasons. Okay, so a common example that I use is, when you were out in the wilderness, if you were walking out in the wilderness and suddenly you turned to your right and you saw a honeycomb, and maybe you were really, really hungry and you saw that honeycomb and you were like, oh my God, a honeycomb. But at the same time, if you saw or felt the bushes to your left moving, your brain created this understanding that paying attention to the bushes is more important than the honeycomb. And the reason is because what's behind that bush could be a lion or a mountain lion, and you could be dead 5 seconds later. So that's where this bias comes from. It was important for evolutionary reasons for your brain to prioritize possible negative outcomes over positive ones and keep you alive. The problem with the negative bias in today's times, especially when we're surrounded by so much stress and so many things happening in our lives, a lot of technology, what ended up happening was the negative bias can actually turn into your poison in today's day. And the reason it does that is because once you get into that negative bias, it can very quickly spiral out of control, and you can start going into very dense, very negative thought forms that predominate the brain and predominate your mind and what's going on in your mind at any given moment. And so what affirmations do is they come in, and as soon as you start repeating these empowering statements, the affirmations literally refocus your brain, move it from that negative bias and take it out of this downwardly spiraling kind of process of negative thoughts. It pulls the brain out of it. It refocuses the brain into more expansive, optimistic, higher energy, all right? And it's literally doing that at the level of the hard wiring of your brain. That's how powerful affirmations are. But as we saw in that definition that I just shared with you, affirmations don't just affect you at the level of the mind. They also affect you at the level of your energy system. So what affirmations do is they really transform, they have the potential to transform your entire energy. Your energy system, you're comprised of this, you're just this beautiful multidimensional being that's comprised of your chakras, your meridian points. There are a lot of parts of you that are quantum in nature. You can't see them with your traditional 5 senses. But this energy system that is a part of you, it's very, very responsive to words and to thoughts and to the energy behind words. And thoughts are words, essentially, okay? And so your energy system is very, very responsive to words. Words that are occurring inside of your brain, so just thoughts, and especially words that are being expressed through your heart, your throat chakra. So as soon as you express words out into the real world, they create even more energy momentum. They become even more powerful, and they have a higher tendency to be able to affect your energy system. And so affirmations, these powerful, powerful statements, what they do is they're not only working on the mind, but they're also helping your energy system come into a higher state of energy, more ascended, higher vibration. Now let's get into the energy specifics of how these affirmations are working on your energy system. And the way that they're working, to go a little bit deeper on what we just talked about, is the idea of you to think about words or thoughts as carrying their own vibration. Okay, so if I'm thinking or speaking words that are empowering, that are optimistic, expansive, I love to use the word expansive, meaning that they bring you up in energy, those words carry a higher vibration. And so the more you think those words and the more you speak those words, the higher your energy system is going to ascend in terms of vibration. When it comes to negative thoughts or denser thoughts or disempowering thoughts, the thoughts that bring you down, the words that bring you down, those carry a lower vibration. And as soon as you have lower vibration present in your mind, ruminating thoughts, and the more that you speak them out loud, the more you're contributing to the energy of your vibration, of your energy system to come down. All right. So that's kind of what's going on technically with affirmations, both on its capacity to refocus and rewire your brain, and on the capacity of affirmations to actually vibrationally change the state of your energy system. On to part 2 of the video, how affirmations work. Okay, so we already know that affirmations affect you on a mind or brain level, and that they affect you on an energy level, on your energy, the level of your energy system. But let's get into exactly how this affirmation is working overall. And the affirmation is working through consistent repetition. Okay, so this is something that you need to remember about affirmations, is that they require consistent repetition, consistent practice. Okay, and the reason is, if I say an affirmation, or if I say a statement or think a statement, and if I just say an affirmation once and then go on with my day, the capacity for those words to transform my energy is pretty low. Why? Because I already have an energy momentum going in the other direction. So think about this. If I've been stuck in a negative loop or in disempowering thoughts for a day or a week or a whole lifetime, then imagine the energy momentum that is in that. Because the more I create a habit around something, the bigger the energy around that thing. Right? And so for me to change that habit, for me to change that energy, I can't just do it by saying something once. Okay, so that's where the practice of consistency is really important with affirmations. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay. The more that you repeat an affirmation, and that's common practice when we're working with affirmations, is to repeat them many times during a practice, okay? The more that you repeat, something is going to happen, all right? And this is a key factor in the efficacy of affirmations. And the key factor is that the more I repeat an affirmation, the more the energy will amplify. It's going to amplify energy of the affirmation. And so think about it. Even if I've been thinking a negative thing for a year, let's say I've been in a negative thought loop for a year, and then I start to do affirmation work. Well, I'm going to start to do it. The more that I repeat it, the energy is going to start to amplify, and it's going to get bigger, and it's going to get bigger. And pretty soon, the energy of the affirmation is going to have the power to transform the negative loop that I'm in, okay? So it's through this consistent repetition that makes the affirmation work much more powerful than ever before. If you're just doing an affirmation and you're just saying it once, chances are they're not going to work, all right? But now you know when working with affirmations, repetition is key. On to part 3 of the video, how to use affirmations. Okay, so now that you know how affirmations work, that you need to use repetition on them, now that we have all of these details, let's get into a proven 4-step technique that's going to help you learn how to use affirmations effectively in your life so they could really, really create positive changes. So the first step in this technique, the first step is to pick a topic. Okay, so you're going to pick a topic, one topic per practice of affirmations, all right? And the reason that we're picking a topic is because if you don't want to dilute the energy of the affirmation, okay? So if I put in too many topics in one affirmation, I'm going to start diluting the energy and it's going to be less effective. So here's an example. Let's say that you write out an affirmation and, you say in the affirmation, I'm worthy of love. I call in this beautiful relationship and all the money that I could possibly need in the world. Okay, I'm just making this up, but you see, in this affirmation, I'm talking about different things. I'm saying I'm worthy, then I'm saying I'm calling in a partner, and then I'm saying I'm calling in money. And so can you see how diluted the energy of this affirmation then becomes? So for standard practice to make the affirmation more effective, you want to pick one topic at a time. So these 3 topics that we just talked about, working on self-love, calling in a new relationship, and calling in financial abundance, there's nothing wrong with these topics, but focus on one of them at a time, or any other topic that you want. Just make sure that you're zeroing in on one topic at a time and work on your affirmation practice for each topic at different times, okay? Just to really amplify the energy more, okay? So here's an example. Instead of that jumbled up affirmation that we just said, let's use a more simple affirmation. So let's say that you pick the topic of self-love. So now you're going to say, I am worthy. I am unconditionally loved by my source. You see, that's one thing. I'm working on self-love. I'm working on worthiness. I'm throwing out that affirmation and I'm going to repeat it. So the affirmation is very simple, but I'm going to repeat it over and over again as we've already learned. All right. If you want to focus on abundance, on material wealth, and you can say, I'm calling in abundance. I feel abundant. I am surrounded by abundance all around me every day. Okay, so I focus on that. If you want to focus on relationships, that would be another affirmation. I call in my sacred partner. I feel love. I feel connected to all those around me. Okay, so you see, I'm giving you examples of how to just pick one topic and focusing on designing your affirmations based on that one topic. It makes the affirmation much more effective and it's a lot quicker in being able to change the energy because the affirmation is very, very laser focused on what you're looking for. On to step 2 of our technique is to write your affirmations down. Okay, so once you come up with a topic, now let's sit down and start focusing on writing our affirmations down. Now, the writing of the affirmation down really helps for you to commit. First of all, you're bringing the words already out when you put them on paper, so you're already manifesting the affirmation. But you're adding to it because once you write it down, you'll be able to commit that affirmation to memory because remember, we're going to be repeating it a lot. So get used to writing your affirmations down. And here's a pro tip, all right? Ding, ding, pro tip. Get used to designing your own affirmations as opposed to using affirmations that you get from books or from videos. I'm actually going to be doing a video on affirmations to help you guys get started on actual affirmations that I'm going to be sharing with you. So stay tuned for that video. But use affirmations from other people as your starting point. But then the pro tip here is to go deeper and start learning how to write your own mantras, coming from your own words, coming from your own soul, from your own inner being. Mantras that are designed by you are more effective even than mantras that you can use from someone else or words that you picked up from someone else. Okay, so when the mantra is designed by you, it's coming from this soul-centered, very deep place within you, and that means that the vibration that it carries is very particular to you, and it's much more powerful. Now, not that using affirmations that other people write, there's nothing wrong with that, and again, I'm going to be doing a video on that, but use those affirmations as the starting point point for your affirmation work, and then go deeper and start getting used to tweaking the affirmations, coming up with your own, making the affirmations your own so that the energy is even more powerful. So when it comes to writing affirmations, I'm going to give you some key tips on how to make those affirmations and how to write them even more effectively and make them even more powerful. The first tip is to use strong words, okay? Use strong, always empowering. So you don't want to use strong negative words. You want to use strong, empowering, expansive words, all right? Very, very important. So look at the difference here. So let's say I write down an affirmation and the affirmation is, I am an okay person. Okay, so there's an affirmation. I'm an okay person, all right? Now look at the difference between this affirmation versus me saying, I am worthy and loved unconditionally by my source. Can you see the difference in vibration? I'm an okay person versus I'm worthy and loved unconditionally by my source. You see, so using strong words makes the power of that affirmation much, much bigger, all right? So remember that you want strong, positive, optimistic, empowering words. You don't want strong negative words, but you get the point here with what I mean. Use strong words. Strong words are really, really powerful to move energy. Tip number 2 is to focus on what you want, okay? So have your mind set on what you're actually wanting as opposed to what you're trying to get rid of, okay? So here's an example. Instead of saying, I expel fear from my body, okay? So here's one way of saying it. And feel the affirmation versus, I am fearless in the face of challenges. You see the difference between that? I expel fear from my body versus I'm fearless in the face of challenges. Okay? So focus on what you want, which is fearlessness, not fear. Okay? So the more you focus on what you're looking for, on what you want, on what you're attracting in, the more that affirmation is going to be super, super powerful. The third and last tip is to keep your affirmation short, okay? So you never want to write an affirmation down that's this long, rumbling essay, okay? So an affirmation is a statement, one statement. The shorter, the better. It doesn't have to be super short. It could be a nice sentence, but the point is don't make it too long where it turns into a paragraph or an essay or something like that, okay? So you want your affirmation to be short enough so that it's powerful. The more words you add, the more you turn it into a long paragraph or an essay, the more you're diluting the energy of the affirmation, okay? So keep it as short as possible, still stating what the affirmation is, so you're not leaving out important words, but you're not making it too long where the energy dilutes. Step number 3 is to tap into your power. Oh, out of all of the steps in this technique, I think this one is one of the most important and one that's not talked about a lot when doing affirmation work. Now, it's tapping into your power. Sometimes when we start to work with affirmations, we read them somewhere and then we just repeat them to ourselves in front of a mirror every day, but we're not doing it with emotion, with power, with our own power behind it. The intention and the power behind the affirmation is everything. It's not just the words. So if the words are lifeless and you're just repeating them robotically, they're not going to affect change in your life. But if you're repeating the mantra through that power, and I'm kind of pointing down here because the power is coming deep within you, all right? So it's coming from your soul. It's coming from the depths of your multidimensional being. So when you're working with affirmations, it's important to tap into that power and not just robotically repeat some words, okay? Now, there's one specific aspect of your power that I love to work with when working with affirmations, and it's your ability to tap into what's known as 0 point, all right? So ding, ding, remember this term, 0 point. 0 point is a moment, a space in energy where it's just that moment right before creation. So you can think of 0 point energy as that moment of stillness and silence right before the Big Bang, okay? So the Big Bang started our universe, everything exploded outward, galaxies started to be formed, stars started to be formed, everything was formed from this explosion outward of source energy. But try and tap into the energy, the silence, the moment right before the Big Bang. Okay? And this can be a bit abstract to you, but it's really important for you to start training yourself to tap into this 0 point. And I like to do that as an actual meditation practice. So I'll sit down, I'll close my eyes, I start focusing on my breathing so my mind quiets down. I'll start focusing on my breathing. The more relaxed I am, the more still I become, the more I can access that 0 point energy. And you can even add a visualization exercise here if you're good at visualizing. When you sit down and you focus on your breath and you start to go deep, deep, deep within you, as soon as you start to feel that stillness, you could visualize yourself going all the way back across space, all the way back to that moment right before. Imagine and feel that moment right before the Big Bang. All right, that's 0 point energy. This is a crucial, crucial energy that you can tap into with anything in your life, but specifically when doing affirmations. The more that you're able to tap into this 0 point energy, the more powerful the affirmation is, because that 0 point energy is precisely all of the energy starting to bubble up before something is created. So it's the point before creation, the point before manifestation. And when you're doing affirmation work, it's beautiful to be able to pair the affirmation work with the accessing of this 0 point energy, accessing of your power. And let me tell you, when you do this, your affirmation work is going to exponentially increase power in your life. Now on to step 4 and the last step in this technique, and that is to affirm. Okay, so now that you have reached 0 point energy because you've been doing step 3 of the technique, once you reach that 0 point energy and you feel you've tapped into that energy, you've tapped into that silence, you've tapped into that power and stillness, now it's time to affirm. Affirm out loud if possible. You can do affirmation work just in your mind, so you can repeat a mantra. Let's say you're at work and you can't really speak out loud. You can do your affirmation work mentally, but it really accelerates the energy. It makes the energy a lot more powerful if you're able to use your throat chakra and actually affirm your words out loud. Okay? And remember, we're using the rule, the golden rule of affirmations that we're going to repeat. Okay? So let me give you some tips on how to actually make this step 4 a little bit easier for you. Okay, so the first tip is to affirm slowly and with intention. This is so, so important. Okay, so again, you're not just robotically repeating words fast and just with no emotion. Say your affirmation slowly and with intention. Put that intention of the 0 point energy behind your affirmation. Say it slowly with intention so that the words come out. Each word comes out with a lot of power and a lot of intention. Tip number 2 is to pause after each repetition. Okay, so again, try not to rush through your affirmation work. Be very slow and meticulous about this. When you finish stating the affirmation, pause for a little bit. And why are you pausing? Because you're staying connected to that 0 point energy. So you're going to say the affirmation, and then you're going to pause, take a nice deep breath, even if it's just one breath, and then repeat the affirmation again, all right? But this pausing at the end of your affirmation is really going to help you keep connected to the 0 point energy as you're doing this repetition of the affirmations. Tip number 3 is to feel into the energy of each affirmation, okay? So when you're finished affirming, when you're finished repeating the statement once, you're going to pause and then feel into the energy. This is important because that pausing and that feeling into the energy helps the energy of the affirmation penetrate inside each and every one of your 40 trillion beautiful cells. Your cells actually get programmed through this intention, through this intentionality, through this pausing. You're going to feel into the energy. So let's say you're affirming something. You say whatever your affirmation. So let's say we're working on self-love and you say, I am worthy and unconditionally loved by my Creator. Okay, and then you're going to feel into that. And you're just going to feel how that affirmation feels in your body. You're going to sit in that soup, that energy soup of the affirmation. And the more that you sit and you kind of scan what that feels like, the more your cells are taking in the beautiful energy of the affirmation. Tip number 4 is to affirm again, okay? Again and again and again. So we already went through this. You know how important now repetition is when it has to do with affirmation work. So to give you just a rule of thumb, here's a little bit of a rule of thumb for affirmation and the amount of repetition. So when you're working with affirmations, keep it to at least repeating the affirmation at least 10 times, all right? So there's a good minimum for you so that you can know. But here are some pro tips on how to make your affirmation work go deeper, because if you're deep in the affirmation work, if you're really embedded in the energy, if you're really focusing and doing your intention work as you're doing your affirmations, you're probably not going to be able to keep track of how many times you've repeated the affirmation. So here are a couple of ways that I like to use in order for you to keep this affirmation repetition kind of off to the side so you don't have to be thinking about it too much. My favorite way that I use with affirmation work is I will take out my japa mala. So I will take out a mala bead necklace. And the mala bead necklaces, or, Catholics use a rosary, a prayer rosary. Across all religions of the planet and all traditions, there's been this form of counting prayer, okay? And I love to use my mala beads. So traditional mala bead necklaces have 108 beads on them. And so what I do is I'll sit down, I'll do my affirmation work, and I will just literally hold my mala bead and I will just count with my finger. I'll just count one bead at a time. And then pretty soon I've said the affirmation 108 times. I'll go all the way around. Sometimes I don't have time to do it 108 times. So I'll just go, when I'm feeling into the mala bead, I'll go just halfway through the mala bead, or what I perceive to be halfway through the mala bead. But usually when I'm working with my mala necklace, I will go all the way around. That's 108 times repetition. That's really, really powerful when you do it that way. Okay, so that's one way to get yourself a mala bead necklace or a prayer rosary, something like that. Another technique that you can use is you can just use your cell phone timer. So let's say that you have 10 minutes to do your affirmation work, or 15 minutes. You put your timer on 15 minutes and you just set the phone aside and you just go about and just embed in your affirmation work, and 15 minutes later, beep, beep, your timer will go off, and then you'll know your affirmation work is finished. Okay, so you can use either one of these techniques, but the point with any one of these techniques is that you are repeating. You're planning on sitting there and repeating that affirmation work at least 10 times so that we could really, really amplify that energy and make the power of the affirmation even bigger. Now, I talked a lot about the energy system and how affirmations affect your energy system. So you may be thinking, what the heck is my energy system and how do I work more deeply in it? What are the most important parts of my energy system? That's going to be important for you to know for your affirmation work. I shot a whole video on the most important aspects of your energy system. I'm going to leave a link to that video below so you can watch after this one and you can go deeper in understanding how affirmations really affect your energy system and what your energy system even is. Now I want to hear from you. Do you use affirmations in your daily life? Let me know. Drop some affirmations below and let me know which ones you use. I want to hear all about it. Click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or head over to my website where you can download my popular free guided meditations. And don't forget this video here that I talked about the most important aspects of your energy system. All right, beautiful soul, that's it for me. I love you. I'm out.